This Cheltenham, we're paying 4 places in the Gold Cup plus extra places in 4 other races today. Paddy Power, feel like a favourite.
Welcome everyone to the wrap-up on Road to Cheltenham on day 3 of the Cheltenham Festival 2021. Another fantastic day, Ruby, and Rachel Blackmore still at the top of the jockeys table.
Yeah, incredible. And 2 totally different rides. Allaho, all guns blazing from the word go, and then Tell Me Something Girl, a brilliant hold-up ride. But it was just a day of there was great performances. I thought horses, riders, trainers, all dashed across it, and some disappointment. Yeah,
there was ups and downs, everything you expect from a festival, apart from the crowd. And you can tell it. You have to feel sorry for the jockeys, particularly jockeys and trainers having their first winners. It's just a significant moment that they normally get to share with hundreds of thousands of people.
I know, and the majority of racecourses that go to Cheltenham are such good supporters. And I have had the pleasure of riding plenty of big winners there and turned to that grandstand and the best mate enclosure and then turned to that grandstand. And if you're on a roll like Rachel Blackmore is on right now, like they'd be chanting your name off the stand, almost like a football stadium, and it would put the hair standing on the back of your head. And that's what they're missing. And I feel a little bit sorry for them. Even Danny Mullins, he rode his first winner, Jordan Gainsford. Their feelings and emotions that very few people get to experience, but you never forget. They're missing out on those. They still have the achievement and they're showcasing their talents, but that's one downside, I suppose.
And are those memories that you hold from your career when that's happened with you?
Yeah, and without doubt, like even especially when things had gone wrong. So even for Danny to have ridden 5 seconds there and then win the stairs hurdle and turn and the crowd and the noise, you think, this is why I do this. This is just, and that's not there. Like I remember a good few years ago after Duvan had pulled up in the champion chase and we had no winner the first 2 days. And then by the time Let's Dance had won, like the whole place is roaring at you. It's just, I don't know. It's an emotional thing, and I do feel sorry for the riders that are missing out.
Yeah, it is a great shame for them, but the crowds will be back, and I'm sure, no doubt, that they will be able to celebrate in future. I have slight exaggeration with hundreds of thousands, obviously, tens of thousands at Cheltenham. Yeah, exactly. There we go. Right, well, let's start with Allaho, shall we? And I'm going to congratulate you. You put Allaho up for the Ryanair chase. Did he win in the way that you imagined he would?
No, I didn't. I didn't think that he would spread eagle the race as early as he did. Only Main could go with him. Now, Mr. Fisher did try and made a few mistakes. Left his rear end in the water, head butted the third last. He definitely made a really good attempt at following him and was travelling really well. But Allaho, it was just, I thought it was amazing to watch. It was just relentless. Never missed the fence. The speed they were going. Main paid ultimately for trying to go with him and faded completely, but it was some performance.
It really was. Only Min could cling on to him. He was going with such power, shock and awe through the race that he was forcing mistakes from those horses behind him. One by one, they were dropping out of the race because they just couldn't live in that way.
Was it Denman-esque almost?
Well, it was. It was, I agree. Over a shorter trip, it really was like that. He tanked through the race. Min, I thought the signs were early on that he was not quite there either. He jumped really big at the second and the fourth. Paul Townend said afterwards that he just wasn't really there. But he also said, I said, you were the only one able to go with Allaho. And he said it was extraordinary. He was amazed by how long it took for anything to overtake him because he knew he was going quite badly on Min. And yet it took ages for anything to get past him.
But that was just the pace. Just the pace that he went, he just was relentless. And look, I felt that after he ran him in the Alba Bartet that we'd gone too far, back at 2.5. And when you looked at him today, you're thinking, whoa, could he come back even further?
You could, well, maybe, but why would you change? I mean,
I know, I just thinking like, will he go to Aintree? I doubt it. It's 2 miles or 3 miles in Punchestown. Would he go back to 2? I think he could.
I wonder whether you'd try Chacun Bassoir over 2.5 at Aintree.
Yeah, maybe, possibly.
Yeah. So that was Allaho, who's clearly found his niche. How about the Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle? Extraordinary story here with Flooring Porter, with Danny Mullins getting his first festival winner, much overdue, but stepping in at the last minute for Jonathan Moore, who made an incredibly mature, professional and team-based decision to say that he couldn't do justice to the horse and stepped aside.
Yeah, and exactly. I'm not sure that's a decision I would have ever been able to make.
Really?
And I was discussing about AP. There's no way I'd have been able to make it. You'd have to stop me. And he was probably the same opinion actually about himself. But it was an incredibly mature decision. And then Danny got the chance. And look, I know I've highlighted how difficult a ride Flooring Porter can be a couple of times, and then get on him, having never ridden him, only watched him, taken whatever advice Johnny Moore gave Danny Mullins, and away he went. And again, a bit like Allaho, I was thinking most of the race, when's he going to stop? He has to stop. He'll stop now. And he never stopped. It was a really, really good performance.
It really was. I think that the way in which Gavin Cromwell has brought him through the handicap ranks, even though he's only 6, might have got that grit into him that he needs for that kind of task. Possibly.
But definitely the change in tactics has been a big thing. Since they've gone to making the running, he hasn't looked back.
And the horses that were chasing him home, Cider Burley, who knows this track so well, in second, coming from further back, and Paisley Park, who hit a long flat spot. I had a chat with Aidan Coleman afterwards, and he said on that ground, he just can't pick up and get himself back into it. Although he does go on it, they just go too fast for him ahead. Yeah,
but I think the second and third were the right horses, to give credit to the form. And
definitely.
Yeah, and both ran really good races, and both hit flat spots. So Cider Burley, away from the fourth last. Both were under the pump. That's the pressure the Flooring Porter piled on them all from the front.
I felt sorry for Harry Skelton because I thought he had a strong stayer like Lisnagot Oscar in the right position when that horse tipped up. He was close enough to Flooring Porter.
Yeah, and you've been saying it for a while, that he needs that kind of race, and it definitely worked out. It was going to be the way he wanted it.
Absolutely. But the winner, 6 years of age, Big Bucks was 6, of course, when he won his first Stayers Hurdle. But it's a different kind of thing. Big Bucks, the way he looked after himself really in a race, whereas Flooring Porter lays it all out there all the time. Is it going to be difficult for him to sustain that?
Absolute chalk and cheese. But no, Gavin Cromwell obviously knew what he had after Navan supplemented him to the race in Leopardstown and brought him directly from there to here. I'd have faith in Gavin Cromwell to be able to manage that horse's career.
You're going to get no argument from me because I think he is a brilliant trainer. That's his second Cheltenham Festival success after the win with Espoir d'Alan, much missed Espoir d'Alan, who won the Champion Hurdle a couple of seasons ago. I'm sure Gavin will find a way.
I think so too.
The opening race, disaster struck early on for Envoy Alan. We were saying that he'd never been really tested form-wise this season, no fair fences. But the one thing we were sure about, we thought, was the way he jumped.
I know, but I thought he got quite worked up. He was very keen to post. He was even at the start. I know they have always said that he was a more difficult horse than you saw. But today we saw the difficulties, and he was racing quite keenly with Jack Kennedy. He was on his hands, and he just let fly at the third fence and couldn't get there. Got his feet on top of it. If he'd gotten him over it, he might have dragged himself out through it, but he got his feet on top of it, and his feet got tangled up, and he was paddling for ground then and couldn't get his feet out.
Luckily, he was okay, but the race then was blown apart by Harry Skelton riding quite aggressively on Chamblou.
That's one way of putting it, very aggressively.
Let's just say it's overly aggressive, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and he paid for that. And I thought Nico was very good because he didn't get sucked into following him. Even though he was travelling well on Chantry House, he just stayed within his own comfort zone, and he put up a good performance. He was well fancied too, Lydia, before it. Yep. There was a bit of chat about him, and he delivered.
Yeah, Nicky Henderson was saying that he's got a strong band of novice chasers. He's won the Arkle, he's won the Marsh, and this horse improving all the time, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
On just briefly on Chamblou, those kind of tactics as well. I think I reckon they're better suited to a fatter track. I don't really think that.
It's too hard. You're climbing up all the way up the back of Cheltenham at that speed. It's difficult.
It's been an extraordinary 3 days so far for mares. And Mrs. Milner was a superb winner of the Pertemps for Brian Cooper and Paul Nolan.
Yeah, and didn't have the smoothest passage. The loose horse at the top of the hill, when it barged forward and interfered with a couple of horses. Mrs. Milner was the one at the back of the melee almost, and lost her position. But Brian elected to go left at the top of the hill and in, and got a great run through between horses off the home turn, and she won impressively. Brilliant for Paul Nolan and James Nolan, and Mrs. Milner's owners. They're great supporters of the game, but great for the Nolans, smaller operation, and Dave again, mapped it out and delivered the horse on the right day.
And they stood by Brian Cooper when he was out of the limelight, when his career went downhill, and he was saying today he had to start from the bottom, and he's really grateful to the Nolans for sticking with him. Yeah,
he is. I mean, Brian got that very bad fall here and broke his leg, and it was a horrific break. And shortly after that, then Desi Hughes passed away, and Desi had a huge impact on Brian's career and was a mentor to him. And things just unravelled for him then. But look, the Nolan stood by him, and Brian has got himself back, but and he's overcome those things.
Well, it's the measure of him, isn't it? That he's got himself back to this level, and now he's much in demand by all the top stables. This was the race in which Jordan Gainford finished second on the Bosses of Oscar, and this extraordinarily inexperienced but mature, vastly mature beyond his years, young man had the favourites chance on the Bosses Oscar in the Pertemps, on which he finished second, and then the shunter in the plate for Emmett Mullins.
And got caught a little wide maybe on the Bosses Oscar. Not that it mattered the result that Mrs. Milner bolted in, but the shunter, I thought he was very good in the shunter. He was in the right place all the way. They didn't go that quick, but he had the confidence to keep holding on to the shunter, and it's quite noticeable away from the third last. You can see him pulling the shunter back, and he just kept sitting in front, didn't overly commit him, and that's confidence. And it was an impressive piece of ride tactically.
It really is, and particularly for a jockey so inexperienced. He was talking about the wise heads he's been talking to. One of them was Davy Russell to help him, prepare himself for Cheltenham and how he should ride it. But this is a really fresh young talent, isn't it?
It is, and you can ask all the right questions and ask all the right people the right questions, but you have to take it in and then carry it out, and he did that.
And Emmett was saying that the shunter apparently scored awfully at the weekend, but they didn't tell Jordan that.
No, that doesn't surprise me.
But remarkable what Emmett's done with him. A maiden after 18 starts, and he's managed
Fabulous.
to win a Moor Battle, a Great Wood, a big race at Punchestown.
Yeah, and great bit of placing, the Moor Battle, the bonus, Emmett and Paul Byrne, really good bit of placing.
Fifth winner of the week for Rachel Blackmore, and that was on Tell Me Something Girl for Henry de Bromhead, who now has 4 himself. And it looks as though patient tactics have really made the difference with this mare.
Yeah, and they have, and it wouldn't be like one of Henry's to be ridden as patiently as that, but they did. And at the top of the hill, now she won really well, but you can see the confidence in Rachel Blackmore. Turned at the top of the hill and went in. She was riding for the gaps, riding for the look. But when the ball is bouncing for you, you make the right decisions, and she did again. And it was a really good performance from jockey and horse.
She can do it every which way, can't she? It doesn't matter whether it's hurdles or fences. What she has to do with the horse, slow in front, quick in front, holding up, whatever. She can just do it,
and can do the hardest part, which is take the falls, get back up, and go again. I
was just about to mention that because she had 3 falls. Was that yesterday? I think wasn't it? And won the last. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and her third fall yesterday was a cruncher, and get up and go again. You talk about confidence and making the right decisions, but to physically do what she's doing, I think is 10 out of 10. Hats off on you from here.
I absolutely agree. And obviously she's got the big ride on her Plutar tomorrow, and she can extend her performance for Cheveley Park Stud as well with Sir Gerhard and Allaho today. Henry de Bromhead hard on Willie Mullins' heels with 4 winners.
Yeah, right on them, applying the pressure. But the form Henry's horses are in, it does bring a Plutar. And then Nicky had a winner today as well, champ. It's going to make for exciting stuff.
It really is, and don't forget Minella Endo as well. Yeah. It could the trainers' table here this week could be decided by the Gold Cup.
Yeah, and looking at the last race today, Jack Kennedy on Mount Ida, coming from so far back, another brilliant ride. The same on Galvin. He's on Manila Indo. The stories are evolving here the whole time.
Yeah, there's been some extraordinary rides from Jack Kennedy this week, difference making rides, Black Tears, Galvin, and this one here today, Mount Ida. How the hell did he win that?
Good question, but just didn't give up, didn't panic, let her warm up, kept her in her comfort zone, and then started picking his way into the race. He knows where the winning post is, and that's where you get paid. And I think when you know where the winning post is, it's a big help.
He reminded me a bit of you, actually, in terms of just not panicking. You know, that thing where you don't, something goes badly. I remember this with the way that you rode. Something's gone wrong, and his man Tider getting a bit frightened, taking no interest, going out to her right, and he just waited. And he waited for her to get into some kind of rhythm to see whether it would happen. And, you know, all compliments aside, it reminded me of you.
Thank you very much. But that is, it's not confidence. That's just making the right decisions. You can't force it. You have to wait for it to happen.
Yeah, I remember you saying that, and I thought that was palpable with Jack. And again, it was a good way for him to end the day. His third win of the week, but he'd had Dan's. I mean, he obviously had Envoy Alain, which was desperate for him. Sam Kerr had run really badly. He was disappointed in Fury Road. I think better was expected for the Denise Foster yard. Yeah,
I'm sure it was. But look, he picked himself up and went again, and that's what jockeys have to do. Get up and go again. You see it. Rachel pick herself up and go on Quilixius in the first tomorrow. Jack got up after Envoy Alain and carried on for the day. No sitting down, no sulking. It's all about the next race.
Now, I have to ask you about your background there. Where are you? And what
I'm in the Ellenborough Park. I'm actually in the boardroom in the Ellenborough Park. There's an Ethernet connection here. I'm about to dial into Game On 2FM, and Danny Mullins has kindly joined me.
Fantastic. That's a brilliant trail for your show. I shall make sure that I tune in. Maybe it's been great to chat with you again, and I look forward to doing the same after what will be, I have no doubt, a fabulous well-charged Cheltenham Gold Cup.
It will. Thanks, Lydia.